Welcome back to CSS tutorial. This is part 5. If you haven't seen the others, check out the links in the description. Today I'm going to explain the difference between align tracks and align items. I've made a container here we got 9 items, and I've set the container to a width of 1200 pixels and a height of 600 pixels. I've also given the grid columns of 3 by 250 pixels and rows 3 by 120 pixels. I've also got a gap 10 pixels. Justify content. So when you see justify content, this property aligns the grid along the row axis or horizontally. You can set it to start, end, center, space evenly, space between, or space around. The default is set to start. It will take, so as our grid here consists of the 3 columns and it doesn't take up the full space of the container, it's already set to the start. So if I comment this out, it doesn't make any difference. It's because the default is start. I'll just show you there now. So we set the center. As you can see, it moves it right into the middle of the container. We can do end, or we can do end, and it puts it right to the end of the container. We can do space. We can do space around, and that gives it a gap on either side. So as you can see, there's twice the space here as to the left. There's twice the space here as to the right. So it gives it a gap, the same gap on either side of each track or column. We can also do evenly. So evenly is kind of the same as space around, but it gives each column the same gap on either side. And the last one is between. And between, as you can see, it spaces each column right to the edge and then space them evenly in between. So there's a couple of subtle differences between the space evenly, space between, and space around. Now I'll just put this back to center so we can show you align content and what that does. So align content aligns the grid or the tracks along the column axis or vertically, and that's also the default is set to start. So if I uncomment the align content to start, it's already in that position, so it does nothing. So I can do end, and you can't really see it here now in the container, so that's your container. It's gone right down to the end. If we do center, it puts it right in the center vertically, so along the column axis. We've also got the same as the justify content in that it has space around, space evenly, and space between. So that's pretty cool the way you can space all your tracks that way. So I'll just put that back to center and move on to the next part of this. Okay, that was aligning your tracks. Now I'm going to go on to aligning the items. To align the items, we use align or justify items and align items. So justify items aligns along the row axis, but it aligns the actual items. So the default is stretch. You can set it to start, end, center, stretch. So as we have it, if I just comment this one out, justify item stretch, it doesn't make any difference because that is actually the default. If we do start, you see it actually aligns each item. So this item only takes up, the CSS only takes up that much space because we've set the item to, it has a font size 20 pixels and padding 20 pixels. So it's taking up that much space. As you can see, this one is bigger as it has more text. So it moves it to the starting position of the row, so right to the left when we do start. If we do end, it moves it the other way. You might be able to see it a little bit better if we turn on the inspector. I'll just move him to the right. So here's the grid. We'll turn on the grid lines and bring this over a little bit. So as you can see, this is right to the left of this cell here. If we go center, each item is actually pushed into the center of the cell. So when the default is stretch, it stretches the whole width. It stretches out the content to take up the whole width of the cell. We also have, we've start, end, center, and stretch. So you've seen them all there on that. So when we have justify, it means along the row axis. And that is the same for justify content and justify items. So the content is the track or the whole grid, and then the items is the actual item, the grid item itself. So the div that contains this CSS. The justify part of it tells us that we're going horizontally along the row axis, and the align part of the property tells us that we're going up and down or along the column axis. And it's the same for both content and items. So align items, I'll just put that back to center, I'll just put justify back to center, and now we'll deal with align. So align will be up and down. So it's already set to stretch, as that's the default. We'll do start, and you see it's after moving up to the top. If we do end, it will move it down, and stretch you've already seen. There's also a baseline on this one, and that's to do with aligning based on the actual words or the text in the grid or in the cell. I'll go into that in another lecture later on. I just want to show you these first. So that's basically aligning tracks and aligning items. There's also a few other things I just want to show you there quickly. Or actually, we're just at the 10-minute mark there, so I'll leave that for another lecture. And that's it. I hope you got something from this, and if you did, just give us a subscribe or a like or comment, and I'll see you in the next video.